the FNL Network talk show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the FNL Network talk show. I am your host, Diana Gebbia. It's been a minute, so I'm so excited to be back with Jeff, Eugenia, and Sean, who is the brand new owner of Barbie's Dream House.
I am. That bitch has everything and I want it. Just saying.
How's the jacuzzi back there? Is it nice?
It's nice. I can't tell you, that what me and Ken did, but it's a little hard when you know genitals. But you work with what you got. Just saying.
Is it in Malibu? I wonder where it is.
That's one of the dream homes, plus the dream car, the dream plastic surgeon. It all works together. I love it.
I love that for you. And she's letting you use her dream boyfriend. I mean, you just have a dream life right there.
I'm a Barbie boy in a Barbie world. Come on, Barbie, let's go.
I love that. Eugenia and Jeff, how are you guys doing?
I am doing really good.
I love the glasses.
Thank you.
I love your painting in the back. Is that yours?
Yes. I love your paintings. Your paintings are really nice.
Oh, yeah, that's not mine, but my dog is back on the show. It's very hot in LA and yes.
Oh my God, it's like 11 billion degrees. I'm in, like, you guys saw a knee before. I'm in shorts. I'm not like naked. I'm in shorts, I promise. Not that kind of show. Jeff, that is really a lovely painting. I always say, I'm like, I wonder what it's like to be talented in art, because I'm not. Like, that's just something I never will be.
Yeah, it's a crazy gift. I love it. It's very therapeutic for me. Sometimes I'm just stressing, I go to painting or either designing. So amazing. That's my outlet.
That's so true. That's what my therapist said for like my kids when it was pandemic and things. We were basically putting the music on and like without judgment, just like painting to the music. And it actually does something to your brain, like especially the colors. You can just release all kind of emotions and it's very healthy,
Yeah. I love that. I gotta try that. I want to do like I don't know if you guys have seen the Princess Diaries, but where they had the balloons filled with the paint and they throw the darts. Oh, I want to try that, but then also I feel like that could end horribly wrong with like a dart going through my TV or someone's arm or something. But in the name of art, we sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys are hysterical. I love you. We got a lot to talk about today though. So we're gonna roll right into it. First thing we're gonna talk about are like biases between the generations, because I'm a millennial. I feel like we were the most hated generation at one point until Gen Z came along. So thank you guys for that. But a new study from CNN says that there's bias that shapes the way that different generations view one another, and we actually might have more in common than people think. So I want your thoughts on this. What generation do you fall into? Do you feel like you're stereotyped because of it? Are there any thoughts that you have perceived of other generations? Sean, I always love what you have to say, so we're going to kick it over to you first.
Well, since I was around back with the caveman, things have changed a bit. But like for instance today, like a perfect example is like my generation. I don't know if I'm an X or Y or Z, I gave up. But there was somebody younger than me, like looking behind as I'm following him out, whatever. I don't know what his thought processes were, but however, he decided before exiting the gym to just stop and look at his phone. And in my mind, I'm like, mofo, you're blocking the door. What are you doing? Like, it makes no sense. Or idiots on steps, like who just decide with their phone, or like people in the streets of New York, like they walk 4 across. I'm like, you're not the opening of Sex in the City. Move. People are trying to get through. And I just think it's like this unawareness and like this just like zoned outness that come with electronics, being raised on electronics, that make you unaware of other human beings other than who's, tagging you on your phone or contacting you on your phone or checking you out on a social app. But in real life, you're a moron. So I just don't get it. So help me. Kid. I don't know.
There is something to say about kids being raised on their phones. I feel like my generation is the last one to know what like a childhood without a phone is like, because cell phones didn't really get big until when I was 13, I got my first phone, but it wasn't anything like what we have today. It was like the LG flip phone. You had like the ringtones that like do 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 like guy in a keyboard type dealio. And our fun on our phones was like looking through all the pictures we could select as our wallpapers. Like that was really a good time. So it's weird to see what you're saying. Like, yeah, all these kids, even babies who want to look at iPads and, you know, they already know what apps they like. There's apps for babies. Like, who would have thought? That's wild. And there is something to say about how it affects socialization. You know, my nieces, their mom does great, at least with like controlling their screen time and whatever. But I was just randomly thinking the other day, I'm like, oh my God, when I was their age, I watched Mary Kate and Ashley, like whatever happened to them on VHS, and like the books they had too. And I'm like, they probably don't know who Mary Kate and Ashley are. Like, it's just wild to me. So yeah, no, good point though. Like controlled by technology, these younger generations, it's insane. Eugenia, you have kids, so I'm sure you got stuff to say.
Well, my therapist said nobody knows who Beatles are. That's how crazy it is, you guys.
Wow. Disrespect.
I know, she sees everybody. And yeah, Sean, like to add to you, like traffic in LA just became extremely insane because everybody stops to take a selfie while driving. And I'm like, come on, you're blocking the freaking freeway. You know what I mean? Not everybody's Barbie or Ken, and not everybody's opening of this movie here. So you guys move along. But it's really hilarious for me. You know, I have friends like my age, and I come from Russia. So I come from like, I haven't seen any technology forever. You know, we were like in the wildness, like with the wolves, basically, you know, playing around. So it's something that came really late to me, but it's funny. I find it hilarious. I have friends who are like millennials, but they want to look cool and fit into the, you know, generation of Gen Z. And they're like, oh my God, let's go to Vegas and do like K-pop videos because it's trending on TikTok, you know, so let's dress in like this cosplay costumes, which I think is hilarious, kind of, you know. I love researching. My kids are definitely a different generation than me, I have to say, because they watch scrolls through TikTok and they think I'm a terrible mother. Sometimes I try my best to throw it out and throw the phones out of the window, but it doesn't happen a lot of times. They're very attached to their phones. It's actually really terrible on a serious note, because socializing, kids literally would start to call me, like, you know, and I heard from other parents, they'll like call you, like, bring me the water, you know. I'm like, I'm not your slave, you know, like you call me, like you have to walk out. But they have zero social skills. They can order everything on Postmates, you know, there's no need to communicate at all. And all they do after pandemic is socialize on social media. There are games that make them play together, very engaging. Even if they're in one room, I'll bring them to play dates and they would sit there on computers playing with each other through these apps. So it's absolutely how we're, you know, educated now. I mean, for me, like the film Idiocracy is always an amazing example by Mike Judge. It's a comedy, if you guys haven't seen it. It was shot in the 80s and it's literally where we're going, like our critical thinking and everything is overtaken by avatars. But it's also, you know, I try not to judge. I'm like really open-minded to also good things in technology, because I know like the generation before me, I remember walking on the streets and like those nice ladies would say like, oh, you have to become like, you have to behave like a lady, because I was always such a rebel. And I was like, oh, it's your generation, you know, of like people who are trying to like present this polite thing and like, you don't know, I'm a punk rock, you know, like I want to rebel, like I don't want to listen. So I understand that as well. We're very tied up as people. And that's why you guys celebrate my birthday. I took it from Prince, because I think you really attach yourself to a certain generation. And it's like where you stop growing, I believe. You believe that like, oh, my generation knows so much better. And like the new generation like knows nothing, and look at them and like, let me judge them. But, you know, I'm really curious about it as well. I want to learn new things. And I think that's the way to grow, is really kind of jump from one generation to another and see where they're at, but don't quite belong there. This is kind of like my theory. And I just don't like judgment, you know, and so like, let's just live together. Like life is too short and it is to be celebrated. That's what I believe.
But
You're a nice person. I always say that.
I love judging people. I love hating on people. I would have half my day done if I didn't do this. Eugenia,
Barbie house. I mean, of course, I didn't judge you.
Dad, what did he know? Come on, move on. And I have a question for the panel too. I know, Jeff, you didn't get to go yet, but like giving electronics to kids, I had a lazy eye as a child. I didn't know which one was real. I had to choose the person or thing in the middle. So how are these kids not going blind looking at these electronics from very young ages? Like, I don't know if there's ever been a study on this. I have no idea.
That's fair, because I have the worst eyesight known to man. I mean, part of it, I'm sure, is hereditary because my dad has really bad eyesight too. But I remember when I was little and like watching Sesame Street in front of our tube TV in my mom's room, my mom would be like, you can't sit that close. Your eyes are going to go bad one day. But now it's like, that was a big ass tube TV. Now people have like the phones right in their faces. So that's a really good point.
Well, thanks God, you guys, all the pilots will be automatic. So we don't have to rely on people. Sorry to chime in, Jeff.
It's true. That's the way of the world, honestly. Jeff, what do you think?
So I just feel like the millennials, like they said, to me, is a disconnect. Even when you go to like restaurants or places like that, normally I'm used to, you have a wonderful day, or how was your day? There's a greeting. There's no greeting. There's no looking at you. It's just a total disconnect. I was just like, okay, what is really going on? But I love the millennials. I love the millennials because they're go-getters. And they push the envelope and you can't tell them no. They say, okay, you say I can't have that. I can't have that, so I'm gonna go get it. So I love that about them. I'm like Eugenia. I try to transition into the generations and don't just look at myself as, oh, I think I'm this, or I think I'm that. I love learning from them, and they help keep me youthful. They keep me on my toes, and they keep my mind going. So I really do love that about them. But the only thing I just don't like is the disconnect and the yes, sir, because I was raised on yes, sir, yes, ma'am. When it comes to older people, they'll walk right past an old person, will open their door and keep it moving. And I'm like, you just saw that lady in that wheelchair, you didn't even help them. Like, what is going on? So it's just like, to me, that's the disconnect. It's that phone and the computer, and they don't see any compassion when it comes to other things or other people. So that's my opinion.
You're like the mom from Mean Girls, and she's like, you guys keep me young. I love that. Yeah, I try to keep up with things, but I just can't help but have that little internal, I guess, bias, hatred, judginess for Gen Z only for some reason. Maybe it's because they're right below me and it's like, ha, you're taking the hate away from millennials. That means I get to like point the finger at you. But a lot of people wanted to blame. I remember at the start of COVID when there were all a bunch of people on spring break and they're like, the millennials are out there spreading COVID. I'm like, no. We're all out of like high school. We're all out of college. That's Gen Z, baby. Like if you're going to point the finger, point the right one. I think the littlest ones now are Gen Alpha. Those are my nieces, like love them. I think slowly they're kind of being undone because now millennials are raising Gen Alpha mostly. So I think they kind of saw where we went wrong and they're trying to undo that. And they're also trying to undo some of the harsh, biases or maybe generational curses, if you will, that the boomers put on us way back when. So yeah, I love Gen Alpha. What do you guys think of, we didn't talk about the older generation. What do you think of baby boomers? My parents are boomers.
What is Gen Alpha? I didn't even.
Gen Alpha is like, I think, I don't know the exact ages, but my nieces are 7 and I think they fall under Gen Alpha.
What does it mean, alpha? Are they like alpha dominant?
I think they just started the alphabet over because there was Generation X. I don't know why millennials weren't Generation Y, but we were millennials, and then Gen Z is a year younger. So I guess they were like, well, let's just restart it.
Yeah. So
like a hurricane.
I want to ask you a question. So what do you mean when you said the baby boomers left a curse on the millennials? I just want clarity on that. What is the curse?
Yeah, so it's not like a particular like curse in the sense. There's something called like generational curses, and it's not only them. It's like whoever raised you. It's kind of the way of thinking in the past, the way you do things. Like, So my family, I love them, but we don't have a volume button, and everything in our house, the way we communicate is by yelling. And like that's a generational curse I'm trying to break. So when I get home, if we're all like yelling and it's literally like, can you blah, 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 and I'm like, okay, like what if I, instead of being like, stop yelling, if I'm like, I will just respond in a calm, normal voice. And that's just one generational curse. Or, you know, a lot of people weren't taught to like stand up for yourself, or like how to be emotionally mature, how to be mindful of your emotions. And again, it's no one's fault because they didn't teach you this in school. You know, parents only, they're humans. Like at the end of the day, our parents, your parents, everyone else's parents, they come with their own trauma. They come with their own way they're raised. Like they don't know any better. So it's kind of up to you to undo what was instilled in you that you maybe didn't like so much, and, you know, learn from it and take things another way. But it's not like curse in the sense like, you know what I mean? It's just what they call it.
You know, I have a thing about it. So like my parents, they raised me like, oh, you have to like marry, and you have to marry a rich guy, and like you have to raise babies, and you can't have both. And I was like, okay, let me like, you know, but I have such a resentment against it. Like, I can do anything I want, and I can still marry a rich guy because, you know, so I'm like, I don't know, there is a curse. I think I have some kind of resentment for like the way women were treated in the generation before. And mom was like, oh, what are you gonna do? You're a woman, like, you know, you can't be independent and like have kids, and like how can you survive because it's patriarchy. And I'm like, screw that, you know, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And
yeah, that's a really good example I didn't think of, especially for women. Like, you know, I feel like we definitely got the short end of the stick on that one.
I support marrying rich. And again, I'm single. So if anybody's available, and if they can give me my own Barbie dream house, feel free to reach out, SeanPBennett.com. And, you know, no one is too old. Respirator, why not? It worked for Anna Nicole Smith until the end. So, you know, I'm open to suggestions as far as that's concerned. I don't think it's generational being another loud person. I think it's cultural. Like, because you know, like even in movies, like the Italian old woman throwing herself on the dead body at a funeral, you know, and then you see people in the Midwest, like their family's just been gunned down. They're like, well, we always like that. And like no emotion. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Where it's like, where's my baby? You know, I mean, you know, like that's how in my mind you should be if something bad happens to your family, you know? But I do gotta hand it to the young people in one thing, they vote, which I mean, you know, the old people, and I think the senior citizens show up to vote, and the young people now seem to show up to vote. Sometimes minorities show up to vote, and then everybody else, it's hit and miss, you know? And so I think, you know, the young people really did do good as far as being political active, from Parkland to Black Lives Matters to really trying to put a voice to what they believe in. So kudos, young people.
Yeah.
Really crazy. And I'm sure your Barbie mansion has a lot of outlets for those respirators. So
definitely. You know, it has a hospital. So, you know, you can go right from one to another new ex-husband. You know, it's perfect. So, you know.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Well, we're going to move on and talk about public transit. I went to high school in New York, so I am very familiar with public transit. We relied on it. Some cities are actually making public transit free. They're kind of doing a test run of it. Do you think it's a good idea? Are there advantages, disadvantages? Do you want to see it in your town? Jeff, we'll start with you first.
Okay, so I didn't grow up on the transit because where I'm at in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, you have to go to a certain destination in order for you to get onto the bus line. It didn't run periodically near me. I grew up in the country, so I had to have a car. So I was used to that, having that transportation. In my opinion, I think it's good that they're going to do it free in certain areas, but I don't think it's going to change the way people are still perceiving. I want to have a car. I want to be able to go when I want to go. I don't want to be limited to waiting for a bus or get on the bus and can't get off, or stop and see someplace that you want to go and adventure to. I think it's not going to change that much. I think the only thing is going to be good is it going to be free for the people that are actually using the bus line. And it's going to be beneficial for them. But I don't see the change. I don't think people are going to stop driving their cars just to get or, travel the bus. Not where I'm at, because the way it's set up, this system's set up here.
That's so fair. Like, as someone who was waited on a bus stop in the snow in New York in tights and a skirt and saddle shoes, because that was her uniform, like, I feel that in my soul. Nobody wants to be waiting around for a bus if they don't have to. That's a really good point. Sean, my fellow New Yorker, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a good idea because you hear like some people don't go vote because a voting system isn't close to them, or it costs them money, or like it'll cost tolls or gas or other things. So people who are disenfranchised often stay disenfranchised, largely financially. And I think transportation can be one of those issues. I had a controversial thought, which I never had before, go figure, that it would be interesting to charge according to zip code. Because then it would show how much that area can afford, and like somebody has to like handle the burden for the others. So if you take public transportation from a more affluent neighborhood, I mean, not saying it has to raise the price from where we are now, but basically you'd say pay full fare, and then it could be slightly reduced, almost like they do for senior citizens or for students or people with disabilities, same type of idea, and they can charge according to that sliding scale. And it might help people, experience, like say the city proper. If they're far out, they might not want to come in because it's extra money, or like tolls are super crazy expensive in and out of the city. Parking is super crazy. So, for like a family of four to go see theater, they could wind up spending $1,000. How practical is that for many families for like a 2-hour experience just to drive in, pay the tolls, park the car, each child, then each child wants a souvenir, then they want a soda. You didn't even feed the little boogers yet. So, I mean, it's a lot of money. So I definitely think there's a way to maybe help people just economically in the whole program.
Oh my God, you like unlocked a memory of like, okay, we're all going to a show, or like we're going to the circus or something. And it was like, okay, are we driving in? Then we got to find a garage. How about we take the ferry, or we could do the subway or the express? But like, that was literally my whole childhood. I totally get it. And the train in Staten Island is free until you get to the ferry. Then you have to pay, but it's something low, and then the ferry's free. So I just realized, I mean, even though it's not a bus, like that was really helpful in high school, because for those of us who didn't, I got the discounted Metro card thing, but for those of us who didn't, that was really helpful to them too. And I think it's, it was almost a social thing. Like I went to an all girls Catholic high school, and there was like the all boys Catholic high school. And we knew the Farrell guys got on the train in Oakwood, and we were all really excited for that. So there was some sort of a like exciting element to taking public transportation. So I see how it could be good for that. And I'm not opposed to charging by zip code. I feel like here in Beverly Hills, like we should charge them $1,000 for getting on the bus. They're not going to take the bus.
That's true. I mean, people hop the turnstiles anyhow, and then you see homeless people on the subway. Well, how the hell did they get on it? So I mean, clearly something's got to give. Not everybody is paying. They can't. It just doesn't seem possible.
Totally. Eugenia, what do you think?
Okay, I'll be the total opposite, you guys. I'm so passionate. Anyway, so spoiled little blonde girl just came from Paris Fashion Week, and we couldn't get cars, we couldn't get Ubers, we were late from one show to another. It was crazy. We're trying so hard. And I took public transport. To be honest with you, I was like, I'm saving money, it's economy, like I'll take public transport, until I was actually like greeted with so much violence in the public transport, because I don't know, for whatever reason, they hate models or whatever, they think I'm this spoiled or whatever. Sorry, I shouldn't curse. I'm a good person. But this guy threw like a door at me, and he's like, oh, you should like watch out and keep this door for me. Like he was definitely agitated. I was like, please forgive, whatever. I'm not trying to create havoc, but I was just trying to get around, And one day it was raining. We had to wear this crazy gown, crazy hair. And I was like, there's no way I'm going like at midnight on the train. I'm going to get robbed. What it is. It's like, I just want to take my car and go, and I couldn't get an Uber for like 2 hours. And you can really see, especially in Paris, the social unrest now between the classes and the socialism. And growing up in like culture of socialism, where you don't own an apartment and everything is free, I can tell you, people are still so corrupt. Like only people get in a free apartment who are like, are friends with friends. So you can get a passport, you're friends with friends. Human nature doesn't change. I know it's a good idea. It's like an idealistic utopian world where we all take care of each other. Then do the freaking, system free anyway. Like I know that government charges in London for people to go over this one bridge more money, like they take a toll. Where does that money go? Maybe into like supporting the war in some other country, making more money for this 1%. So I think it's a bigger discussion. And I don't support, like there's this economic forum where they say in 2030 you own nothing and you'll be happy. I'm not like that. Like I don't support that. I come from communism. I don't believe in that. I think my car, even in LA, gives me freedom. Like you said, Jeff, I want to go to the beach. And, sometimes I have to be a mom and then I have to audition to be a stripper. I don't want to go on public transport considering I'm a stripper. You know what I mean? It's LA. Like sometimes I have to wear crazy things and wear like, sometimes I have blood on my clothes coming from 5 a.m. shoot. Of course, if I'm going to like a mom's meeting, I don't have time to, only change in my car. Like there's so many things that are much deeper than that to be answered. And I think we're guided towards this like, pink glasses society. Oh, let's make everything free and let's like do it by zones. But where does the money go? And actually who profits from that? And, if people are really, if we all want to support each other, let's make it free. I'm all for that. And let somebody just print the money on the side for all of us to have equal rights. I'm all for equal rights. Why didn't it happen in this time and age? I don't know. We're all humans. Like there's no difference between any of us, no matter where we come from, no matter where we live, what zip code we are, still people, I am for equal rights, and I hope that happens and humanity happens instead of hypocrisy and politics.
Yeah. When you brought up like the violence on the public transit, that is a huge thing, like especially in New York. And I haven't been on the subway since the pandemic happened, but I hear it's only gotten worse. But I remember we went into the city, I was in high school, and I guess some guy, like for whatever reason, he had something going on and he saw my friends and I, and he started like banging on the window, yelling at us and like calling us like nasty names and whatever. And it's just, well, part of you feels bad because it's like this person's just clearly unwell and they don't have the resources to get the help that they need. And then you don't feel safe. And then it's like, this is, just public transport. Like, I just want to get from A to B. And at the time we didn't have licenses, but like, that's just a sad reality for many people. So that is a good point. Like, yeah, we make it free. And then it's almost like we have another problem to solve in a way.
It's like Hunger Games.
What was that?
Like Hunger Games for me.
Yeah.
There's a social aspect to that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jeff. I cut you off.
No. She's fine. I'll wait for Eugenia to finish.
I'm finished, Jeff.
Okay. So this is my thing. I think it's a stress level of them not being able to have the freedom to do what they want, to be able to travel the way they want to travel. Because when you get on the bus, you have to go through that whole system and dropping people
local stops.
Just to get to a destination. So people on there, they're already stressed. I think it's just the stress level that's making people act, besides, the normal people just doing crazy stuff and want to be violent and just, hating on people. But I think people are just so stressed getting on the bus. They don't, they can't afford a car or whatever the scenario is. And that creates even more stress for them. So one person could say the wrong negative thing and they just lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
I think it depends on the person and also where you're located, because I've lived in Manhattan for like 20 plus years. And funny enough, I've never even run into Crazy Town, where like one of my friends, she was like horrified. She saw nudity. I'm like, damn it, I wish I was there. She found it shocking. I found it interesting. We each choose our poison, I guess. But I've never seen anything, where anybody's confronted. I've never seen an act of violence. Do you have a crazy person push somebody in front of a train? Yes, but do you have crazy people who are high on all types of psychedelics driving in cities and packing guns, and now they can do whatever they want with a gun in Florida? Yes. So, I mean, to me, it's like, half of one, half of the other. The difference is like New York is kind of like a human experiment where everybody's thrown together and has to, get along. But I've got to say, from like when I've worked in downtown LA at the convention center, the homeless people there are aggressive mofos who I've seen chase people. I've seen somebody in Maryland get their phone ripped out of their hand. And I've never seen any of that go down in New York, because it's at least a real New Yorker, maybe not the new 1% children, but the former ones would pop you right back in the face. They don't give an ass that you're homeless. You don't touch me. You don't steal my phone. I'm going to give you back what you just gave to me. I mean, so there's kind of like this understanding, crackhead or not, they're friendly crackheads, So I'm just saying, as far as like, yes, being out in the cold would stink. And that can be like, out of boroughs and so forth. From where I live, I mean, honestly, hopping on the train could be the quickest way. I have no traffic, unlike an Uber where I don't know, even getting to auditions, I can run and hop out. To Eugenia's comment, I put, costumes inside like, a rolling case. Now, granted, I don't also have to then pick up kids or the extra step or what have you. I understand, there's other mitigating circumstances, but like for me, it's actually more convenient, and somebody else is taking me to my destinations. I'm a Barbie boy. I don't want to drive. Take me to where I'm going. Tell me I'm pretty as well. Fly me first class and then pick me up in a car. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them just hopping in a train and getting 2 stops down and I'm at my destination. So I think it's kind of relative, honestly.
Yeah, really good point. No,
I just gotta say,
no conductor outfit for you. You're just riding the train.
Yes, but I said like in LA, I was in downtown LA, as I mentioned, and then I took the train to like Universal City Walk or something, and then a woman was there with her kids, and some homeless guy, or maybe not, maybe he just was brazen. Anyhow, he flashed the family, and then the mother, I just thought it was very funny, like she just like started laughing at his pee-pee, and then, like that was her reaction to like, okay, I'll take you crazy homeless man, and I'm gonna insult your penis and make your day even worse. So I'm just there's a way to deal with everything. So whether it's insulting a penis or avoiding the crazies, we have options.
Oh my God, I love that. That is a moment for social media. Got a little segue right over there to the newest form of social media, Threads. Who's on Threads? Did anyone else sign up yet? Just me. I'm the only sucker here. Okay. Well, Threads, for those of you who are watching at home, is Instagram's newest, or technically Meta now, because it's all under the Meta umbrella, Facebook, Instagram, and now Threads. It's their newest social platform where literally I barely see a difference from Twitter, to be honest with you. It looks almost exactly the same. The only difference is it is connected right to your Instagram account. So if you block someone on Threads, you block them on Instagram. If you delete your Threads account, guess what? You just deleted your Instagram account. So be wary of that. But yeah, I've been on it. It's been a little bit of fun. Like people kind of, I don't want to say they're unhinged because that has a negative connotation, but they're the fun kind of unhinged on there. They're posting whatever they want. It's kind of a free for all. You can see what anyone posts. Okay, my first question was answered. None of you signed up yet. Do you think you're going to sign up? Do you think it's just a Twitter copycat? Are you tired of social media? Do you want to live in a cave with cavemen instead? Eugenia, since I know you are a woman of many jobs who needs social media because of your line of work, curious to hear what you have to say.
My God, I'm moving with a caveman as we speak.
You'll be the hottest cave woman ever. So I love that.
Oh my God, it's so funny. I'm not on Threads because it sounds like threats to me. It's like, your threat is coming for you. It sounds like it's a horror film. Honestly, I just deleted my Twitter, you guys. I can tell you honestly, and it was verified and whatsoever. I didn't need to buy the blue check mark, but I actually feel quite scared, to be honest, to have so many stalkers and people showing their penises.
Oh God.
It's kind of, I never thought of myself as like a private person, just because you grew up in a business where you basically are judged every time and you were like in front of, millions of people in magazines, and it's all like you're a judgment machine, but finally, for me now, it just got to a point where I have to take care of my mental health, because I'm kind of a person who wants to please everybody and like make everybody happy and like not create conflict. And, not only I had people who blackmailed me because they stalked my lifestyle and think that I have this kind of, everything on social media is not what it's like in real life. And like people like, oh my God, you were in Fashion Week. I'm like, you guys, I was like running in subways. A guy almost smacked me. Like I was almost robbed. Like, you don't know, this one picture doesn't represent my lifestyle at all, but people think that you are that, and they literally would come for you. And, our Instagram was protected by CIA because of my husband running a studio, but he told me he's the one who took Bin Laden down, and he's like, oh, we found Bin Laden because all of his like guards were playing Mario, and that's how we found him. And he's like, every crime starts online and it gets to real life, and they can find you literally by anything in these days. They can scan you, they can find you, and that really created a lot of trouble, where like I understand my husband's like, we can't shoot in the house, we can't do editorials in the house, we can't like do that, just because no matter what you are, it's always going to be a jealousy or anger, or people are unrest. And like I understand that, I feel terrible, and I think Instagram, unfortunately, we have to have it as models because that's the only way to make money now, because the magazines, they're like really almost bankrupt. It's unfortunate, but a lot of models and photographers are really struggling with that. Magazines literally would call you and like, oh, do you want to be on cover of Vogue? Pay me like 40 grand. I'm like, I don't have that money, but like anybody can be on the cover of Vogue, and it creates a lot of problems for value. I think, Jeff, I don't know what's your point of view on that, but for me, it's like real talent takes a lot of work and skill. It's not only like, oh, wing it, like I got lucky. It's actually, to be successful in any profession takes a lot of work and a lot of years. And just like, oh, I'll be on the cover of Vogue because I'm the Nepo baby is not cool. I don't believe in that. So I think for me, any new social media is just the way to steal your data. There was an artist who did this whole exhibit, I think in New York City, where she printed whatever we agree to when we sign to a new social media account, like, oh, your rights are taken and your data is taken, you're in the iCloud, they can steal your eyes. Like literally a bot stole my eyes literally and attached it to a different face. And I was like, this is my soul. You can't steal my soul.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're based in India and like, it's a kid, right? So I reached out, I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, this is not cool. They're like, I'm so sorry, it was an art project. And I'm like, okay, they outsourcing people in those countries to kind of, steal our eyes and souls and create new businesses for profit. I was like, oh, this is like human trafficking for, for bots, basically. But yeah, I'm rethinking the privacy thing and like where it is more better to be around nature rather than being replicated and being a replica, like one of those bots in like 80s movies where everything is, just it's too much. Because I think true art is amazing when it's real and it's one of a kind, and the more of it you make it, it becomes worse. And every social media site, I would be very skeptical of that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to learn more.
Yeah. No, Jeff, I know Eugenia was looking for your opinion. Me too, because you're an artist now, and I didn't even think of that. That has to present, all these new social media platforms have to present some like positives and a lot of negatives too.
Yeah, I just like you're talking about Thread. That was the first time I heard about it when you actually mentioned it in the.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't get involved in a lot of the different apps and different upcoming things that they put out there, and so that you can market yourself. Because I feel like it's like Eugenia said, it's very scary. People can hack your account and steal your account. I'm just really iffy with that, with my arts and with my design as a designer. And yeah, I have a pet peeve with what Eugenia said, with how that people can wind up on Vogue because if they pay the money and the gifted and talented kind of get pushed, off to the side because they never have a open door opportunity for someone to see their greatness. So yeah, I don't see myself getting on Thread. I never was on Twitter. I never did Twitter. I stayed very neutral to Facebook, IG, and I'm still right now. I don't even really want to use them too much because people are hacking their accounts so bad now. Like people get access into people's accounts, and it's just crazy. So I'm very weary with that.
Yeah. My friend, she was saying yesterday she bought a bunch of stuff on Temu. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. I think it's a website and an app. I'm not 100% sure, but everything's like at a super discounted rate. And I was like, oh, I don't know how good the clothing is, but like, oh, I heard on the news it compromises your data. And she was like, Diana, everything is compromising our data. And I was like, well, yeah, that's fair. If it is, then you might as well get some good price stuff out of it. Like, at this point. Sean, what about you?
Well, I just heard a thing that Sam Jackson, like if he sees in perpetuity, like, so forever, like, in a contract before, that would mean like, okay, we're agreeing to buy you out for $100,000 or whatever it might be, or like the video game. But now it could be AI. So they can go ahead and use his voice, his image for whole new projects. So he's totally crossing that out. So now one of the main reasons why SAG might go on strike is because AI could take over not only the writers' jobs, but also the actors' jobs. And that's why even celebrities now care. Whereas like normally they may not get involved, because it's something that, Meryl Streep could be cloned from Mamma Mia 12, The Revenge, whatever, and so it's not even her, and they have her likeness for free because somehow it was entitled in a contract. So it's very interesting. As far as like Threads in particular, supposedly they have like record-breaking sign up, but I mean, again, they have advertisers and they have like a whole publicity department. So whether that's true or not, or because they have the following from Instagram, and then of course, influencers wanting to be the first on it, hopping on, I don't really know. To me, like, Twitter never really excited me that much. So Threads isn't really exciting me. I don't understand TikTok. I feel like an old Vakata. I'm like, I don't understand. The things go back and forth. They hop on things. They go back. They play a song. Who cares? You can cook a recipe. You can Google that. I don't know. Why do I have to watch this? I don't understand. What is going on? So a lot of stuff, like, it just doesn't appeal to me personally. Will I be on it? I guess if everybody eventually is on it. But yeah, I do think things do compromise your data across the board. And then there are certain things that in particularly like give me the heebie-jeebies. I just got a text, whether it was real or not, I don't know, from T-Mobile. Like right now, my bill is paid via credit card. And it's like, oh, to save $5 now, we want direct access to your bank account. I'd rather pay $5 more because, they could go in and do whatever they want. Then I've got to wait like, 2 months to get $20,000 back because I wanted to save $5, or whatever it may be in the case. So I think it's all kind of relative.
The craziest thing, you guys, it's so funny, Sean, you brought that up because I read this whole thing in New York Times where somebody's whole identity was compromised and stolen, and she couldn't recover it because she couldn't prove who she was. And it's pretty scary. Not only that, I was talking to my friend recently, and she, she's pretty established person in this world, and she hasn't spoken to her daughter for a long time, and suddenly they text her that they kidnapped her daughter, who's like an adult, and they demand a ransom of like millions of dollars, and they put her on the phone, and she's like screaming, right? It's like her. She's like, they're gonna kill me. Of course, the mom is like wiring the money left and forth. And only then she finds out that they somehow through social media stole her voice.
Wow.
Applied it to AI and faked it as an actor, just putting her voice on, and wired millions of dollars just doing that. Can you imagine? It is like they get into your vulnerability as a human being. And, I think it's just pretty scary where is the value of humanity?
I heard about that one. Maybe not that particular case, but I've heard of like that happening, and it is just wild. For anyone watching who's interested in more of this conversation, I don't remember when we spoke about it, but we did dive deeper into AI. So I just wanted to throw that out. That's a few episodes back, throw that out there for anyone else who is interested in the whole AI debate, because it is scary. Like the world we're going into, and even, not only actors and artists, but hosts, like we're all hosts, pretty soon, like, God forbid, there's going to be like digital hosts. I mean, there kind of already was back when I was growing up. There was like, cartoon hosts and things like that. So it's just scary. Like, they're really taking the whole human element out of things. And, it even connects into what we were talking about at the top of the show with generation gaps, another new social media outlet, another reason to get distracted and be less personal with the people in front of you. So
I just read the publicists are going on strike, you guys. It's like in Variety. It just announced, and it makes sense. They had a huge meeting in LA today, all the A-list publicists, because it's true, like Sean, you said, like the Meryl Streep voice will be somewhere. So all of my publicist friends, I really feel bad for them because they're going to be out of job for a while and they really struggle. I have really good publicist friends, but they have to do that in order to kind of, try to save humanity.
yeah. And these strikes affect so many people that others who aren't in the industry, wouldn't even think. Like, I'm going to have my Eugenia Paris fashion moment. I was at the Mondrian pool on Sunset Boulevard for a tequila event, and I made a friend who she works in like transportation on studio lots, and she's out of a job right now because nothing's being written, because the writers are on strike, because they're not getting paid what they deserve. And it's just like, it's just so scary. And the whole, reason behind it is just like, well, not the whole, but like AI and streaming and technology. And it's scary.
Then it's so funny how you put an accent when you're like, I'm in Mondrian. Like it's always like,
Mondrian. It's a beautiful pool, by the way, if anyone has a chance to go, I'm just saying.
But it's so true. I was talking to an actor friend because I do acting classes like every Monday. And he's like, he drives an Uber, and he's like, there's 70% of Ubers are down. He's like, I don't know. I never had that in my life. I understand it 4th of July weekend, but also like, I have to make some money on the side because I can't do acting because it's like until September, it's all blocked,
Yeah.
Well, and they say like each day of filming can bring into a city like $225,000 of revenue because you have the hotels, you have the parking permits, you have the food, there's a lot of like things, into play. But I also got to say some of the AI is, people's fault because we're becoming more isolated. I think the pandemic made it worse. So that's why like people aren't going to movie theaters. So then how much are you going to spend to produce a movie, or versus like a streaming project? And this is leading to all the strikes and the downsizing across the board of the entertainment industry. Also, I get paid a decent amount to do live hosting, but we've noticed that since the pandemic, people aren't necessarily showing up. And so it feeds upon itself. So people, the manufacturers, the companies, if they see the attendance is down, they stop going. People go and they're like, oh, there's not as many companies or, people here for, whether it's like, some sort of cartoon convention, a car convention, whatever it is, medical convention. So I'm not going to go to the next one. So then it's smaller and smaller and smaller. And now it's going to be all replaced by AI. So I got to say, too, to whoever's watching, get off your butt and go to things, like live life. Put down your stupid phone. Talk to somebody. Don't block the door at my damn gym. I mean, this is all feeding into each other, people. We're all going to be replaced by the Terminator, for God's sake. Go out there, live, make out with people, find those penises on the subway. It's a action.
Sean, I have a solution for us. I just came out with a secret solution because we both tend to like live in Barbie houses. The best thing to do now, you guys, is just marry a chatbot. So, the very weak chatbot, but they don't die. That's the only problem. They like never die.
And they'll always be programmed to what you want.
Oh,
so you might be onto something. I don't know if you guys remember when AOL Instant Messenger was a thing and like Smarter Child was the robot. And like you could talk to Smarter Child and it would reply to, well, I was like, I guess I'm dating myself, but Smarter Child was like the robot and you could talk to it. What?
Did they have a dumber child and a smarter child? I would love
dumber child. You should go pitch that to AOL. It'll make you feel good about yourself. And you'll be like, hey, smarter child. But it's like, wow, you're so smart. I'll be like, I don't know. Oh my God, I love that. And I agree with you, Sean. Like, get out there and go live life. Like, honestly, with the movies and streaming things, if I have a chance to go see, if there's a movie I really want to see, I'm going to get my butt to the theater and go see it, because like the experience is way more fun when you are surrounded by people, especially horror movies. Oh my God. Like when you are in a movie and you half the fun is hearing the audience reaction, you know, and hearing people scream and be like, why'd you do that? Like, it's the best. And, you know, we're putting money in the hands of the people who deserve it by doing that, instead of staying at home and giving it to the big guy in the suit, which, you know, no offense to him, we don't want to give you any more money than you already have.
So I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Have y'all seen the movie Megan the Intelligent Doll?
Yes, I love Megan.
But I liked it. It was good.
It was so fun.
Yes.
It was not funny at the end when she started killing people.
Oh, that's the best part.
I enjoyed it.
And when she dragged that dog through the fence.
There was
Yes. Oh my God, that movie was so funny. And then so Halloween Horror Nights is coming up, and I saw they're casting girls that are 5 foot and under and who can tumble. And I'm like, do I learn how to tumble so I can be Megan? Because I feel like this is probably a Megan casting call.
Don't get injured in real life.
Yeah.
I think there was
Oh my
I
God.
think there was a film in the 80s with Jude Law. I think it was called Alfie, if I'm not wrong, where they lose a kid and then they adopt a robot who's a kid, and it's really weird, you know. I think our human compassion is used in a way, you know, by robots, and we're like, oh, it's so cute, and this doll is so cute, and this is like, this robot talks like my child, and my dog is cloned, and like, but it's not real, you guys. I'm sorry to break it to you.
I think Spielberg did it. I think it was AI or artificial intelligence was the name of the movie. I'm pretty sure. Because Alfie was like some sort of 60s remake, but I do think it had the A. I think it might have been AI or artificial intelligence as a movie.
Yeah.
I remember because it was like little the kid from Sixth Sense who played the child.
Yeah, I wanna say hi from my dog, because he's like, I'm real.
That view.
Dog.
What's your dog's name again?
Eugenia, you're not supposed to film in the house. I'm just saying.
Oh, this
AI
is my
is gonna steal your dog right now. Your dog is all over AI.
What's your dog's name again?
His name is Logan, and this house is just for filming. It's not my real house, and my location is.
Oh, can I stay in your house that's just for filming?
Love it.
Oh my God, I love you. So we're gonna end on a positive note, or it could be a negative note, because, you know, we're halfway through the year. Maybe you stuck to your goals. Maybe you didn't. You know, it's one of those. I'll kick it off. I will say I've done well in the personal growth area. That's great. I have been trying to do more fitness lately, so I love that. So I'm not doing too bad. Am I like doing what I was like, yeah, every day I'm gonna do, I don't know, I'm gonna work out and do X, Y, Z. No, but I think we're doing, you know, a good positive pace. And I'm learning to, like, if there's one day where I don't want to do anything, I'm learning to be like, all right, you don't want to do anything today, you don't have to. Little self-compassion there. So we'll just go around. Who's directly left to me? It's Jeff. So I'll just pass it over that way.
Okay, so I'm doing good and then I'm not doing good. So I'm doing good with learning my independence and, you know, not having family around. So it's a plus for me. It wasn't at first because I've always with my family, but I'm learning to enjoy those moments. And I can go see them when I want to and all that. The negative part is the things that I wanted to do, I have not done yet, have not traveled, I have not totally moved and transitioned. I see myself in LA. So I have not seen that come to fruition yet. So I'm working on that. So I shut my shop down. My shop is no longer existing in Virginia Beach. I'm still doing hair, but yeah, I'm in a good place. Transition is real. It's good though.
That. And you did travel. We did see you in LA. What was it, in March for the award show? I got to give you a hug IRL. So you traveled a little bit. I hope you come join us for realsies.
I didn't experience it, but I didn't experience it on the level that I should have experienced it, because I went there for the event, but my goal is to go there and really view the fashion, you know, figure out if that's really where I'm supposed to be at when it comes to my fashion and other things. So I had a dream I'm supposed to go back. So I need to go back and experience it on a whole different level. So I'm just waiting for the opportunity for me to be released to go and experience it on that level. But
I'm gonna put a not curse, a blessing, like a generational blessing that you come back to LA. Woo! Eugenia, what about you?
Yeah, I think you should just like pack your bags now and move to my house, which is just for movies. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like life is too short. And I moved to Paris. I remember somebody's like, oh, you can model. And my parents are like, oh no, you're gonna be sold to dance on tables. I was like, I don't care. I'm moving out. Like I have a visa, that's it, I'm gone. I have no money, no ways of like knowing what's gonna happen. And then when I was moving to New York, because I was supporting my family, I didn't save any money. And my agent was like, you should move to New York. It's a place to be. I was like, I have $250. What am I gonna do? He's like, move tomorrow. Like, I don't know, you'll figure it out. So I'm a big believer into acting maybe first, and I don't know, sometimes it doesn't help acting first and not thinking, but trusting your intuition. If it's like calling you, if it's you meditating, it's in your heart, you take a risk, because our greatness is reflected by our courage and there's no limitations. And if you're doing it for the right reason, if it's not like out of ego, like, oh, I want to be the biggest star and like my ego is gonna like flourish here. If you're doing it for a creative reason and you have something to give to this life, to people of service, I think just don't hesitate to overthink it, because there's always going to be other people, sometimes in your family, like, because it happened to my family, they're like, oh, but you're never going to be able to survive as an artist. Like, who is an artist? Like, we never had an artist in our family and it's impossible. Like, don't dream big, just like be small. But your soul is so big and it's not contained. Do what you need to do, pick up the phone, call the producer. That's what happened. That's how I got married. No, I'm kidding. I called them. But I really, that's how like I got every of my jobs, because I didn't listen to people in the box. Just do what your heart tells you to do, as long as it's a right question to like why you're doing it.
I feel like I say this every time I host, but A, you're a very nice person, and B, you always have some nugget of wisdom. Like, I swear to God, you just always come out with like some nugget of wisdom, or like some great advice, or like, I just like, we are not worthy, honest to God.
Experience and lots of failure, people tell you no every day. And I was like, just bring it on, baby. I was like, let me prove you. Right?
Let your haters be your motivators.
Yeah, I think it's so much more fun to fail, honestly, like now, every time. And I think everybody fails at every level, like no matter who you are, how much ego you want to attach to your title.
Yeah, so true. Always the wisest words from Eugenia, our little wise lady. Sean, the Barbie boy, how's it going for you?
Well, sadly, my nuggets are mainly in the bathroom, but aside from that, that's a whole other topic. I gotta say, like, since COVID, like a lot, to me, I don't know if it's watching too much media and too much news, but it seems like fear factor. So like with COVID, it was like, oh, other people can kill you. Then like last summer, it was all about like, monkeypox. And so this year I'm like, I am not going to be afraid. And then one day I looked out and the sky looked like the new Evil Dead movie. It was like so spooky and scary because of like, the Canadian wildfires. But like on a few days when it said like on my phone, like, oh, pollution levels moderate. Look, if you live in a major city like New York, LA, I actually met a guy who worked for organ donations. They will not take your lungs in a major city because it's equal to being a major smoker for years because of all the pollutants you're breathing. So I was like, F it, I'm gonna just live my life. I was like, I can't just be paralyzed all the time in fear. Now, when the sky was a color that I never saw, I'm like, maybe stay home that day. But what I'm saying, like when it's showing like levels of moderate pollution, I'm like, that's really the world we live in, sadly. If you're going to travel on vacation to Hong Kong, that's where, China, that's like the level of pollution you're going to get. I'm sure India, any industrialized nation in a major city, you're effed as far as air quality. So anyhow, like for myself, I'm slowly getting better, just letting go of fear factors and looking out the window or watching the news and being like, oh my gosh, it's another plague. We're in the end times, it's just time to push through and move forward, So yeah, so that, area I'm saying I'm getting better, maybe not perfect, but that was not necessarily a number one goal, was a secondary goal, but I think I'm kind of just listening to what makes sense, because I think we can choose to live in fear or not. And also too, maybe that's why, fear of inflation, fear of food costs is why people aren't going to movies, why they aren't going to trade shows or conventions or things they love. And now we're being replaced by robots. So give up the fear. Just saying.
Yeah, no, and that was a good nugget. You have more nuggets in the bathroom. Oh my goodness, you guys, I love you so much. I wish I could give you all a big old hug and squeeze, from around these screens, but I just love hosting with you guys. I'm so happy to be back after a few episodes away, and I'm so happy to be back with you, viewer. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the FNL Network Talk Show. I've been Diana. We had Jeff, Eugenia, and Sean. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We will talk to you next week. Bye.